Hi everyone, Dr. Suneel Dhand, internal medicine physician. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson, has made a statement where he said that there should be a national conversation on compulsory COVID-19 vaccines. Now, I was actually just outside. It is freezing cold where I am, and I saw this story pop up on my phone, so I thought I must make a video on this topic. I'm still freezing cold and my nose is running a little bit, so apologies if I sound a little bit strange. I, of course, live overseas, but I was born in England. I grew up over there, went to medical school there, and I still have a lot of extended family and friends in the country. I visit there often. So this is an issue which is close to my heart. Now, my response to Prime Minister Boris Johnson's call for a national conversation can be summed up in 3 sentences. Vaccines have done a lot of good for mankind over the last 200 years, but vaccine mandates are unethical and compulsory vaccinations are an abomination. I feel very strongly on this issue. As for vaccines, now little needs to be said. I myself have had all of the routine vaccinations since I was a child. I've been recommending them over the years to all of my patients, and I've administered vaccines myself to a lot of patients. Since COVID-19 vaccines came out, I've recommended them to a lot of people. I've even recommended boosters to some people over the last couple of months, as soon as it was announced that certain people would be eligible. With regards to people who don't want to take COVID-19 vaccines, I can recall a couple of conversations that spring to mind that I've had with people, and these were people in their 50s and 60s, obese, diabetic, big risk factors, where they've said to me, I don't want the COVID-19 vaccine. And I've looked them in the eye and said, look, I think you're making a mistake. For you, the benefits of receiving the vaccine far outweigh any risks. And you should please continue to think about this, and we will talk again. But that is as far as I take things. I do not coerce people or force them into anything. The patient has to walk through the door. Informed consent. Vaccine mandates, however, take things to a whole different level, and I have deep-seated ethical concerns with vaccine mandates. I've said this before, and I know a lot of people, even some people in the medical community, disagree and come after me. You are welcome to. I will not budge on this issue. I will stand like a rock, and you are wasting your time. I will not change my opinion on this. I have deep-seated ethical issues with vaccine mandates for many reasons. Now, if I was living in a different time or different place, if we were dealing with smallpox or the Black Death with a 50% mortality rate, terribly disfiguring diseases, and a one-time vaccine, maybe I would think differently. I can't speak for if I was in a different time or place, but clearly we are not in that situation right now. And I can think of other circumstances as well. You see, medicine is all about nuances. It is not a black and white arena. Supposing somebody came up to a doctor and said, look, I had an adverse reaction, whatever that was, to the first shot. Why should I have to take the second shot? If they were in a low-risk group anyway, why do mandates tell them that they have to take a second shot? What about if somebody, for whatever reason, however rare it was, their family member had an adverse reaction to the vaccine, and they came up to a doctor and said, listen, my loved one had this really bad thing happen to them, and I'm completely put off. I don't want to take the vaccine. If they were a low-risk group anyway, why would we force them to get the vaccine? Remember, the practice of medicine at its core is about flexibility, understanding, and compassion. Now, compulsory vaccines take things to a whole different level again, and I can't even fathom what that would involve. Does that mean you strap people down and force them to take an injection? What is a compulsory vaccine? I would sooner rather never practice medicine a day again than ever have my name next to a medical order that was for anything that was compulsory and forced upon someone without informed consent. That goes against my philosophy of medicine and the way that I practice medicine. I simply will not be involved in anything like that. So, Prime Minister Johnson, in response to your request for a national conversation, again, here are Dr. Dhand's 3 short sentence responses. Vaccines have done a lot of good for mankind over the last couple of 100 years, but vaccine mandates are unethical and compulsory vaccinations are an abomination. That's all I've got to say in the national conversation on compulsory vaccines. The end.